Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ask the CEO with Avrohom. Today, I have a very special announcement to make. I'd like to introduce a brand new co-host of Ask the CEO, Tyler Cohen-Wood. Tyler comes from a very impressive background of cybersecurity and cyber intelligence, and she's going to be doing today's interview. So let's welcome Tyler Cohen-Wood.
Welcome to Ask the CEO. I'm Tyler Cohen-Wood, and I am honored to be the new co-host of Ask the CEO. I'd like to welcome the CEO of P360, a company that powers life science industry with solutions for pharmaceutical sales and marketing enablement, clinical trials, patient journey, analytics, and more. As part of this discussion, we're going to share how their partnership with Microsoft and their use of Azure and the Azure Marketplace have empowered them to scale and grow their business. It is my pleasure to welcome Anupam Nandwana. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tyler. Thanks for having me today.
So every business is experiencing disruptions during this public health crisis of COVID-19, and healthcare is no exception. A critical supply chain must continue during this time, and that is the physician-pharmaceutical relationship. Doctors need to continue getting their supplies, and people need to be able to get their medicine regardless of what is going on in the world. Now, what are the challenges pharmaceuticals and biotech companies are struggling with regarding maintaining that critical supply chain relationship with physicians during a major health crisis?
First of all, thank you, Tyler. I think the context of your question is so critical in the day and age we are living in, right? So the health-pharma-physician relationship is paramount to everything what happens in our healthcare system. It's like drives your clinical trials, it drives your drug sales, it makes the necessary medicine available to the patients. Doctors rely on the medical information coming in back from pharmaceutical companies so they can help their patient. So come March 15th, when COVID situation got on us, the world came to stop in certain extent, right? And as much as, and rightfully so, we are all caught into this COVID situation, there's a whole healthcare industry and tons of other situations which are going on. Your regular healthcare, your people are going through life-threatening diseases, there are chronic diseases, there are active diseases, right? So that whole situation became like at standstill. And credit to a lot of physicians and doctors, they have made a rapid adjustment to make the telemedicine available, make the other ways of getting to the patient. But one of the critical components is how do you continue that link between a pharmaceutical company and a physician? The sales reps and medical science liaisons who were visiting these physicians, they were in a situation they're working from home. For you and me, logging in a computer, it's working from home, we get that, right? But if you are a pharma rep or an MSL, you are having those conversations in a physician's office. You are used to having those conversations.
Yes.
So how do you, there is no one-for-one replacement, right? You have to adjust. So when this situation happened, a lot of companies started doing remote engagement. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for pharmaceutical companies, there was a growing problem which came to the surface also. There was a lot of denied access or reduced access in physician's office prior to COVID. So like a lot of doctors were overburdened with the number of patients coming in, or like they might have been bought over by a hospital system, which doesn't necessarily allow them to have those conversations. So combination of all those things brought a tremendous amount of pressure on the system. And the companies and the back office sales operations and the back office departments, which were supporting these reps and the doctors, had this additional challenge of how to resolve those. So companies have done a really good job of trying to engage them, make the supplies available, make the samples available, all of those necessary components which goes on. But it is a tremendous challenge to keep that connectivity going.
I mean, that is such a critical and vital problem that we're having. And you're 100% correct. You know, healthcare has changed since COVID-19. So, I mean, this is wonderful what you're doing.
One of the things which kind of right now we are in this in-between stage where come whatever the new normal is, there will be back to all these necessary services. So there will be an additional burden on the healthcare system.
So, what can pharmaceuticals and biotech companies do to maintain their relationship with physicians during times of disruption?
Right. So the word remote is, I guess, the new mainstream word and everything and anything where we can apply, and rightfully so, companies have tried to do remote engagement. So a lot of companies have gotten like somewhere ahead of their technology innovation curve, so they had an easier time versus some of the other companies had a harder time. But they are making this remote detailing, what we use the word, or engagement with the physicians happen for the reps. But it's still not necessarily very easy because a lot of doctors could be working from their home, or they're trying to do this telemedicines with their patients. So their time is so limited. And also we need to be cognizant of it. This doctors are getting approached by many different pharma companies, the med devices companies, and all the others. So their time is very limited. And now they are not used to doing this remotely. They're used to showing up at their clinics or hospitals in the morning. They put their apron, they go, they're ready to meet patients, they're ready to have this conversation. So there is an adjustment on their part. And pharma companies are trying to help the doctors at the same time, making sure they have this drug promotion they can do to get their drug out there. So it's a delicate balance. You have to be sensitive to your customers. And a lot of companies are thinking of innovative ways. What can technology do for me in this new reality we are setting ourselves up in? So there is a lot going on, but unfortunately, there is a steep hill we are trying to climb in terms of adjusting and adapting to everything what's going on in the marketplace. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is so important too because we don't know how long disruptions are going to last. So
Yeah, so actually, if you don't mind, I will make a point there.
please.
So one of the top 10 pharmaceutical companies I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago, the reality is companies are starting to think where it's not how long this shutdown is going to last or this lockdown. There is a possibility we are in the era of frequent shutdowns. This, as much as we are all looking forward to summer, falls right around the corner. So, falls right around the corner. The flu season kicks back in, and
Right.
God forbid if this were to kick back in and the cases were to rise, we could end up going in another prolonged shutdown, which none of us we all hope that it doesn't happen. But
Right.
as a business, hope's not a strategy. So you gotta.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that.
So if hope's not a strategy, we have to be prepared, right? You hope for the best, but be ready for the worst. So everybody is engaged in building this infrastructure on the fly and trying to get ready. So how do you tackle these situations?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited to hear about Swittons. So I know P360, you recently launched a new offering on the Microsoft Azure Marketplace called Swittons. Tell us about it and how it addresses some of the challenges that we just talked about.
Right. So a little bit about our company. We as a company, we have a deep expertise in life sciences industry. Top ranks of our management and the core team members have spent upwards of 20 years in this industry. So we have a core knowledge of how the pharmaceutical sales processes work. And with our partnership with Microsoft, we pretty much leverage their enterprise portfolio of technology stack in the data, AI, cloud, IoT. So as I said at the beginning of my conversation, this problem was growing of physicians not being able to access, or there's a lack of a physician journey. And there's a one stat which has been flying around in the industry, and it's been validated by a lot of industry thought leaders, the analysts, and there is only about 44% of physicians who are accessible to pharma reps. This is pre-COVID I'm talking about, and right now we're talking about zero. But if you think about your targeted customer base is only available half to you, and then you add all the challenges which pharma companies have in terms of resources, the manpower, the dollars you spend. there is a very difficult problem you are trying to solve, which is the physician engagement. And so what we did is we took the problem on the drawing board and we started thinking, how do we solve this? And that's where our partnership with Microsoft came pretty handy. We spoke to the technology leaders and the core teams there, and IoT was on the rise 2017, and it's still on the rise. I think that's one of the technology of this decade, along with AI. But IoT was right. So we ended up building our own proprietary hardware and a software technology stack on Microsoft's Azure platform, built through Azure IoT Hub. So what this does is we said, as much as that relationship is important, let's give power back to physician. If we have a device which has 4 unique buttons which can be programmed easily to the physician's need and the pharma company's need. So you could be requesting samples, you could be requesting a rep visit, you could be requesting a medical information or an MSL visit, and the options are endless, right? So the idea is also, one of the key things is every drug gets communicated differently, every product gets communicated differently. So there are a lot of intricacies which go on in the pharma relationship with the doctor. So we said, let's build this unique workflow. And we have done like a lot of work at the same time to take out the inefficiencies in the bottlenecks of the processes. Whether you press a button and you start an e-signature workflow using DocuSign or Adobe, or pressing a button and starting a Microsoft Teams meeting. So our device is designed to stay in front of doctors on their desk and give them an option to drive the journey.
Oh, that's great. Now, how would a healthcare organization use your solution with Azure?
Right. So our device, as one of the things which with the pharmaceutical and life sciences industry in general, it's heavily regulated. There are a lot of compliance issues which goes around, and you have to manage where you are very cognizant of all those facts. So what we did is and that's where Azure's ability to and partners like us to do the new subscription for each customer helps us. We are a tier 1 CSP in Microsoft's ecosystem. It's CSP stands for Cloud Solution Provider. I know it's like we start using acronyms like as they
right.
So it's a cloud solution provider. So it gives us an opportunity to build that software infrastructure for the customer in their private subscription. Same time, we have this hardware, which are really modern day hardware. We have versions with Wi-Fi and GSM. We have a version coming up with thumbprint authentication. So all of this gives them an option, whether you are using a commercial use case, such as like one of the customers we are working with, they want to power their reps who are in territory because they're covering a pretty wide range of physicians and a longer geographical territories. They want to give this to doctors, so doctor can press and rep can be there in an hour. So think of it this way. If I showed up in your office and knocked on your door, of course, knowing Tyler would be busy in the meeting, but I still attempted. Versus you pressed it at 4:00 when you have time and I showed up, I will have much more meaningful engagement, right? Conversation with you. And you have driven something, so it gives you power, right? Like we are all living in the current world where we are driving our own journey. We stand on street corner, we call that ride sharing. We are at home, we call the food we want. So how do you make that consumer experience, bring it over to the enterprise world? So that's our attempt at it. So, and there are use cases from physician engagement, there are cases in the patient engagement, which is another big area for pharmaceutical companies. And
that's a huge area.
The use cases we have gone into, one of the companies, unfortunately, we are working with, they had to let go a lot of people because of the downsizing. They are using this to aid while they get back those people and get back into the current way situation, which was pre-COVID. So there are a lot of, we are speaking with a lot of pharmaceutical companies. I would say almost all of them in top 20, top 30 arena. Some of them are thinking at the global portfolio level. So if your product is what they use a word called buy and bill, where doctor's office can buy a product, pay for it, they can press a button and order it. and it executes the whole workflow automatically, all the way from the shipping warehouse and electronic signatures and everything.
Wow, that
So
makes it so easy.
easy. One of the, I will give you an industry insight. So what we call medical science liaisons, these are the people who have PhDs and masters and in the relevant field. They have in-depth knowledge of each drug which is going out for that company, right? And their job is to make that medical case to the doctor or answer any questions to those doctors when they have those questions when they're in front of patients. But unfortunately, the ratio of doctors to MSLs is not very big. So they are overburdened. So how do you prioritize those requests? So this button can combine those things. So we have heard several different use cases when you are launching a new brand. How do you get the brand amplification in front of doctors? If you have unfortunate scenarios where territories are vacant at that point, you need a fill in. Or you could be in some of the high-end drugs for the diseases which are very complicated. You might need a button where patients are number of less, but doctors need an easy access to some of those things.
Yes, yes, they do.
Yep.
The easy and secure access.
And secure, right? That's why we had to go. We got FCC certification on our devices because that's also very important to give them that
Very
comfort.
good. I'm glad you said that. That's important.
Right.
How can customers find out more about Swittons and procure it through the Azure Marketplace?
So one of the things which we wanted to do is make it easy for the customers, right? And being a Microsoft partner, it's a lot of time things come very easy. And Microsoft App Source is the best place to go. You can go to, there's a link. We shortened the link. It's a bit.ly link. So bit.ly/3CSZUJ6. Or alternatively, you can go to appsource.microsoft.com and type Swittons. You can get there. If you are one of those enterprise customers, you're already working with the Microsoft account managers. They have a direct channel with us. So please let them know. And that's the other way you can get it.
Fabulous. And for all the listeners, please don't worry about writing down the link. It's going to be displayed in the show notes. So I'm interested in how has partnering with Microsoft helped P360 scale and really grow your business?
Oh, that's such a great question. Microsoft's the gold standard for partner ecosystem. One of the things is they have been doing it for so long. It's 45 years since Bill Gates started the Windows software company, but think about the global ecosystem and I think they have close to 100,000 partners. It gives us opportunity to build, deploy, sell, and co-market solutions such as App Source. It's not easily available in every partner ecosystem, right? And not just having an ecosystem of App Source, but having that global scale and reach where they're omnipresent in every company, right? Mm-hmm. So whether you are using product A or product B, Microsoft's been used in every enterprise across the globe. Yep. So what it does for us is when we are in front of customers, I'm not selling or convincing anybody Microsoft's the right. They know Microsoft's the right way to do this, or they can trust Microsoft. I always use this as one of my sales lines when I'm in the front of customers. And this is a line Satya Nadella used in one of his presentations. There are companies with less than 3,000 employees. Microsoft employs 3,000 people who write security for the software. Right. So they know what they are doing. And also the opportunity, whether it's through partner channels, through the app sources, to working directly with health and life sciences sales teams out in the field, there are enormous potential for us to go. It's a matter of how much you as a partner can get it out of it. It's up to you. So we are very thankful for our partnership.
Wow, it sounds like a great partnership. How can people find out more about Microsoft partnership opportunities for healthcare partners?
Oh, they have an amazing team there at HealthcareIndexp. Yeah. So the email address is healthcare, one word, INDEXP. The whole thing is one word, HealthcareIndExp@Microsoft.com.
So if people are interested in connecting with you, how do they get in touch with you?
We are available on p360.com. We are, or Swittons is a product website. You can go. We are available on all the social media handles, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can just search for P360 and we are right there, p360.com.
That's great. I'm sure a lot of people are going to come and look you up because it's a really exciting product.
And we are really excited for what's coming up and what we are doing here. Yeah.
What do you do for fun? Like what makes you tick? What really got you to want to build this business?
That's an amazing question, actually. And I wish more people would ask me. So one of the things when I was younger, right? Obviously, you work in a technology arena, you think you can always program your way out of everything. But living in New Jersey, and this is a global center of all the pharmaceutical. Like if I drive 20 miles in any direction, I would go into one of the top 10 pharma. So I was fascinated by the business and the industry and the impact it has on human being, right? And I thought if I was going to succeed, I needed to understand the business at the core. And I had some opportunities in my career where I was able to learn how the business works and take technology. So that was a natural evolution. And okay, now I know one here and one here. How do I make this come to? And there's always a proverbial like light bulb moment, right? Like when you are. And growing up in India, in the community where I am from, entrepreneurship is kind of, you see entrepreneurs around you, whether they're running like a small shop or they're running an industry. So it was a little bit of a helpful from watching that growing up. And then I was at one customer and I was trying to reach her over and over again. And she said, I need to know what you want so we can build that for you. So she gives me a meeting after like 3 or 4 weeks and say, okay, let's sit down. And then she started talking. We talked for 5 minutes. And Anupam, you know what I want. This has, you know exactly what I want. So what am I telling you any different? Go build that. And then I came out and I thought, if she has that much confidence in what I'm telling her from her business, I'm sure there are other people who will take that. And that just kickstarted us. And the whole cloud evolution was pretty easy to manage. So that gave us a lot of boost. And we are having a lot of fun. Like the way I look at it is, there is a cycle every 10 years, right? So we went from mobile cycle to the cloud cycle. Mm. And I think they overlap quite a bit, but now we are in this AI IoT cycle. And so how do you bring the solutions to the users, right? We no longer go to the companies and say what size of hardware you are buying.
Right.
So that helps us. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. It's really cool. So do you have any parting words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Sure. Thank you for asking that question. It's such a great. So one of the things which COVID situation has brought up on the world is acceleration of digital transformation. So things which you could have been thinking, I would have this on my roadmap for the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, that maybe needs to be on your roadmap next year or 6 months from now, because the urgency is there. Your prioritization has changed. With the core 4 pillars of data, AI, cloud, IoT, like it's paramount that companies transform themselves digitally, or we have seen, and I'm not going to name the names, but we have all seen disruption in every single industry. So pharma is not immune to it either, right? It's going to come and it's here. Also, there are real world situations where by making something, using a product which can expedite the connections, you can help yourself. There are clinical trials currently which are stalled, or there are patients who are not able to visit the sites, or the site investigators are not able to connect with the patients.
Right.
There are use cases. There are doctors who just have, I will give you an example. We were mentioned in Thrive Global, Ariana Huffington's a new venture. She moved from Huffington Post and she started this Thrive Global. The idea is about stress management, burnout, and all that. So the article the writer wrote was about physician burnouts, and we were mentioned as one of the products that can help them. So if if you look at all those things, there are real problems. And end of the day, a physician or a patient is your customer. You need to let them be the driver of their own journey. And the way it can happen is digital transformation. Technology is your friend, right? We can do so much better. Technology is ahead of where we need to be. We need to find use cases where you can take it at the micro level and apply it. You still need a macro strategy, but the use cases can go at a micro level, solve that problem. There is also, like a lot of time people think the projects can be delayed because we need to optimize the cost. We are in uncertain times. There are challenges, right?
Yes.
But there are opportunities for cost optimizations in this kind of situation, right? What can you do?
Thank you for saying that. I think people really need to hear that.
Right. Because digital transformation is not only an investment in your future and you're foolproofing your business, but it's also an investment and cost optimization which you can take to your balance sheet.
That is wonderful. And thank you for saying that. That is very helpful. And people need to hear hope.
All right.
So, and you're right. Things are very difficult right now, but it's also an opportunity to make the changes that really need to be made. And I thank you for doing that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it really has been such a pleasure talking to you. And I want to thank you for sharing your insights and your exceptional work with us.
Thank you for having me today. Have a great day.